Oh, I knew I was going to be racing the clock on this one, but I did not anticipate it was going to be this much. All right, let's do this. Oh, I'll be pushing this through. Well, c'est la vie. Oh, I'm going to do something I know I'm going to regret. Oh, this is going to be something special. I don't know that any of this is going to turn out, but you're still going to be along for the ride.
So everything I showed in that coming up, little teaser at the very beginning tells you everything you need to know about how amazing this Project Soapway winner is and how incredible his soap ended up. And I am so excited to talk to you about him and ooh and ah over his recipes. He did 3 different types of soap for this. It's wild. It was all a thing, multi-day process, and he understands within it that the secret is always cardamom. So he's definitely my people. And I will tell you more about today's Project Soapway winner in just a minute. But before I do, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things. And you are here for another Project Soapway winner, and that winner is Rob. Uncle Rob, in the comments below, so definitely say hi to him and tell him all the congratulations. But yeah, he is our winner of our coffee challenge, and it makes all the sense in the world, because he's coffee obsessed, just like me. And he loves cardamom, just like me. And he has an amazing way of approaching soap, and the way that his brain starts interacting with the soap and the process when something goes wrong is incredible. Not at all like me. He just starts laughing when things get thick, and it's an absolute delight. I had 2 hours of footage that I got to review for all of this, and it was wonderful. I loved hearing him talk throughout the entire thing. This was not something he thought he was going to do. Filming things is not in his wheelhouse. And for a first time out, good job. Like, you did such an amazing job. Now, I did say there are 3 different types of coffee soaps that go into this. And so as a result, you might imagine this is going to be a long one. So let's get to the video. We can talk more about all of the ways that he hit the brief for the Project Soapway Coffee Challenge, and more about him as a person and a soaper, and how he's been to my shop. That's cool, while he's pouring his soaps. So the first thing that Rob has in the info sheet that he sent to me, after he says hi, because he's not an animal, is buckle up. And I agree in totality with that, because this is quite the adventure, quite the ride. And I'm going to see if I can actually manage to document it all and talk about it all, because some of it is not actually represented within the footage for a lot of reasons. One of those reasons is he didn't film 100% of everything that he's doing, and the other reason is I cut some out because the footage was like 2 hours long, so it was a thing. So what we are working with today, 3 different types of soap. So he's going to be doing a cold process soap for some beautiful little straw embeds that he's putting on top. He is doing a melt and pour soap, and he is doing another cold process for the base of the soap itself. Now, this particular soap itself, the main recipe, so the base recipe is kind of over the top. And let me see if I can actually, okay, there's a lot. So he is working with lard, coconut oil, and canola oil for this. And then a double infused, the canola oil has been double infused with Rev Coffee Roasters coffee. And then cocoa butter as well within his oils. And his lye solution, 100% water replacement with Parish Brewing coffee and the Rev Coffee Stout. So he's doing beer, Wait, Parish Brewing Co. What? So 100% water replacement with, it says Parish Brewing and a Rev Coffee Stout. So the cold brew was made from the Rev Coffee Roasters coffee. And yeah, he had the beer stuff going on too, right? I'm so confused. Anyway, we're moving on. So he actually used for his lye solution a 1 part lye to 1.5 parts water, which is wild. And he actually does mention this in his notes. It says, here's where things started going wrong. Knew better than to go with such a low liquid to sodium hydroxide ratio because, you know, lots of sugar in beer. He's absolutely right. But we get to, you know, we're along for this ride with him regardless. So we get to see what it all does and, you know, why he was laughing so beautifully in the beginning. And that was a delight. Watching the soap batter get super duper thick and his response was not to swear, but to laugh. That big, beautiful, booming laugh. I don't actually know what Rob does for a living or whatever, but he has such a beautiful voice that I would go with a singer or a professor, because they have to have a good voice too. He projects well, is what I'm saying. Anyway, so in addition to the oils and the lye solution, he also has a caffeine powder that he has dispersed in hot water. And then for the colors and everything, he's using Dutch processed cocoa powder and black, pink, purple, and gold micas. And the fragrance oil was meant to be a cardamom, but it didn't come in. Apparently it still hasn't come in. And that is actually ridiculous because I want a cardamom fragrance oil. That sounds delightful. But he had to go out and source this locally during the holidays because he was running out of time to actually make this. He's making this particular part right now on New Year's Eve, by the way. So this went from a 2023 into 2024 process with all of it. And the fragrance that he wanted to put into this, it didn't show up. So he had to go out and just get something. And so he says in his notes that the fragrance is a cheap garbage coffee fragrance oil. He does not recommend, and you'll see why later. Maybe. I don't know. We'll definitely talk about it. And in addition to that, there's also a coffee cake fragrance oil and a tablespoon of salt. It's a 7% super fat. And whoa, I think I did it all. So, you know, yesterday was Cheryl's and she had all these lye enhancements. Yeah, Rob took that and said, hold my beer and my coffee and upped the ante. So he's at level insanity right now. And I'm totally here for it. This particular soap is inspired by a soap that he did earlier, much earlier on in his soaping journey, which we'll talk about in a minute. But it was also inspired by a beverage from a little coffee place called Moonshot Coffee in White Center, Washington. Because Rob and his husband used to live over here. They used to do that thing. They used to live here in, you know, the Pacific Northwest. He's actually been to my shop. I guess a number of years ago, he went and did he came to visit and he was in Tacoma and he stopped by my shop. And I think that's super awesome because now he's here. And what are the odds, you know? Because he didn't find me because you get it. It's crazy. It's such a small world. But these little straw thingies, I sped it up a lot, but he was so precise and detailed with all of this, like not spilling a drop. I was wildly impressed. So that's why I zoomed in really close to see if we could actually catch him spilling a drop anywhere. And I did not catch him spilling any drops. He did a great job with this, but he mixed a whole batch. Oh, there's one. Okay. It's fine. You're human. Okay. I approve. But he mixed up a whole batch of cold processed soap just to make little straws. The dedication, you know? But here's the thing with Rob and everything that he's doing with this particular video, because this is a first for him in a number of ways. Rob actually started making soap like 19 years ago. I guess he did a 100% olive oil soap and it was not a good time for him. He hand stirred forever, didn't quite hit an emulsion, didn't work out the way that he wanted. And he sort of abandoned the making for a while, but he kept doing the research. And I love that. I love that he's the kind of human that will just research the crap out of something before he actually starts doing it, because me too. I know so much about something before I ever start to do any new project. So that's, I'm saying that to say that he is so relatable, and that is all. And he's now my new best friend because we are the same person, I'm pretty sure. So this cold process, or the melt and pour there I just showed you there, I'm going to talk about in a minute. First, coffee pot there. he was talking about all the different ways in his footage that he incorporated the coffee. And then he mentioned that later on, when he was just sitting with his husband, his husband pointed out, you actually also use a coffee pot, like an old carafe for cooking, like a camping rather coffee pot, the things that you get it. They're campers in the Sudzer community. I'm just not one of them. So he uses one of those to actually mix his lye solution in. So he's obsessed with coffee, like coffee obsessed, all across the board. And I understand that too, because I love coffee for all of the adrenaline that it gives me, which is very good. But anyway, back to the different things that he's been doing. Let's talk about that melt and pour for a minute. He did start making soap, and researching it and doing all the things like 19 years ago, then did a whole bunch of research, didn't really pick up the hobby again for a very long time. And then he started again, and he's really been making just kind of cold process. And he recently did liquid soaps, which is awesome. But for this particular challenge, all of the things that you're seeing are things that he does not do. It was a first time for him with a lot of this stuff. Obviously, cold process he's done before, but he's never used embeds. He's never done pencil lines. He's never even used melt and pour. And with this, that thing of melt and pour that I showed you earlier, he ended up making his own melt and pour. He decided that he didn't like the melt and pour that he bought from the craft store, and instead went and looked at my clear cold process recipe, made it, loved it. First time out of the gate, he did so much. Like I said, he did the most with all of this. And I'm just, well, again, 100% here for it, but blown away at the way that his mind works with all of this. And also just how easily he fell into the ability to talk to a camera, or talk while he was making soap rather, because I remember him being in Discord I don't know, like on New Year's Eve, I'm pretty sure, asking about the actual challenge or whatever. And he was saying something to the effect of, I've never filmed. I don't really want to do it. Filming is not my medium. I don't like it. And then he proceeded to set up the camera and do a multi-day pour, because that's what this ends up being when it's all said and done. And at the beginning of his footage, he sort of says, okay, I don't know what to say. It might be awkward, etc., something to that effect, but better, more eloquent. And then he just proceeded to be the most delightful human on the planet. The stories that he was saying, that he was telling me, because I believe he's talking to me specifically at that moment, all of the information he's giving about the soaps, the actual commentary while things are happening with the pour that are going wrong. Again, refer back to the big, booming, beautiful laugh. It was amazing. All of it was so just stunning. He's such a natural storyteller, and I was captivated for the entire time. Now, this particular section here, this is the part where I cut out some stuff because it was a little bit off camera with some of it. But this was the part where he was actually laughing and saying that it was going to have to move fast because that stupid, crappy fragrance oil that he doesn't like, it went all over. It ended up thickening this like crazy. And he had an initial desire to do some swirls with the base layer, and it thickened so quickly that he really could not do that. But because the batter started seizing, he took the stick blender back to it, thinking that he was going to regret it. And ultimately it did loosen up the batter enough to do some pours. And so that was good, but it did really firm up very quickly when he got into this mold. Speaking of this mold, can we talk about this mold? This mold is gorgeous. And I want to know, did you make it? The reason I asked that is because I have one of these that Mr. Soap and Clay made, and it's so fun to use because the full acrylics are absolutely gorgeous because you can see the soap being, coming together from the side because, they're clear and it's awesome. But I don't use it a whole lot because it does have all of those little, screw, nut, bolt, twisty things, those. And anyway, it takes forever to get the soap out is my point. And so you're going to see him getting to unmold this soap later for sure. Now with this particular part of the soap for the first pour here, I'm not showing you what he did with the melt and pour because that footage didn't exist, but it is there in the upper right hand corner. And it is a blue tint that he did with all of it to look like and sort of mimic, like an iced latte awesomeness. He probably named it. What did he name it? You have a million pages of, hold on, let me see. Spiced ice. Wow, let's try again. Spiced iced coffee soap. It was originally supposed to be cardamom. And everybody, I'm going to zoom in for a little bit if I can. I don't know. Let's see if I can get in just a little bit closer with this angle and show you. Look, it's Rob's first ever mica line. Ta-da! He did it. He did it, guys. It's a good job. Be proud of him. I'm proud of him. I had no idea, and you would never know that he has never done any of the different, ways to approach the pour and any of the techniques that he is showing us right now based on his end result. His end result is actually stunning. It's so well thought out, and it really is representative of a soap that was planned and executed perfectly by somebody who knows what the crap they're doing. And so when I read in his notes that he has not messed with melt and pour before, and he made his own, and he has not done mica lines, and he did that, and he has not all of the things. Mica lines, embeds, melt and pour, all the things. And here's the melt and pour going in. And I think it's a beautiful melt and pour. Look how gorgeous that is. Makes me very happy to know that he had such success with my melt and pour recipe right out of the gate, because sometimes melt and pour from scratch can be a little tricky. I had to put that in the pudding because at this moment is when his husband walked in and just shouted, "Pudding!" And it was everything. It was so delightful to hear, I don't know, the way that they interact with each other, because Rob was having this moment where everything was going thick and not going according to plan, and he was pivoting, and the hubs walks in and goes, "Oh yeah, got real thick." And it was delightful. I loved it. I was going to include it, but I don't know his husband. I don't know if I have permission. Anyway, speaking of his husband, like I said, they lived in the Pacific Northwest before, and they have been, at least Rob has been to my shop, but his husband is from the South, and so they moved back to the South, so they live in Louisiana now, which is super fun, and that means that you get much better food than you could ever get being in the Pacific Northwest. So that's a bonus right there, because the food up here is crap, and Louisiana has amazing food. You get gumbo, you get the sausage, and rice and all the things. You guys know it's good. Catfish. Yep. Now I'm hungry again. But he's in Louisiana. He is a hobbyist soap maker. He is not doing any of this for, a job or whatever. He has one of those IRL things. I don't know what one of those IRL things are though. So I'm going to go with professor or a beautiful opera singer, because that's what I get from his voice. It's a very controlled voice. You can tell that he is speaking from his diaphragm, and I love that. Now, for whatever reason, he actually managed to get his, ruler thingy out to put all of the things in. And at this point in the pour, as long as it was and all of the drama that went into it and the days long process that it was, I don't know that I would have done that. You know what I mean? I don't know if everything going wrong would have led me to go, okay, now it actually makes sense for me to take out my ruler and make sure that every single one of these little straws end up exactly where they need to be, so I can cut these without cutting into the straws themselves. So, I mean, good job. A for, effort, or continuing to, I don't know, follow that. I don't know, man. It's a lot of work. I was really tired watching by the end of all of this, like tired for you. But, let's go check out this cut, because it's going to be amazing. I promise you're not going to regret sticking around for all of it. Okay, so we are running out of time, and I don't think I've delivered all the information that I want to. Look at that mold. Isn't that awesome? Yep, he's going to take everything out of that mold, and you can go ahead and tell us in the comments, Rob, how much of a pain in the butt it is to do that. You know what I mean? Because I don't like it at all, having to work with it, but it is pretty. So anyway, what else do we know about this? We know that the melt and pour also has the caffeine powder in it. So that's great. We know that the straws, the cold process, also has the caffeine powder in it. And the melt and pour is made out of coconut oil, stearic acid, the sugar solution, glycerin, and the grain alcohol, as well as the caffeine powder. Yep. Love it. Got it. Now let's talk about the chaos that ensued in the section that he titled "Let Chaos Reign." and he did let it rain. So he was going with, I guess originally he had a splash swirl idea for this, which would have been wonderful to see in action with a thin soap batter, but it didn't quite work out the way that he wanted because everything got super duper thick, as we saw. And so he says in here that his swirl tool went down and hit the browns that were already the bottom that was already solidified. And here we go. I love this. This is a quote from him. "I knew I only had one choice if I had any hopes of saving this design. Get angry with it." End quote. He drops a mic and he gets angry. And he did say that he wished he could see it, that it was in frame, but it wasn't, unfortunately. But he was just beating the crap out of this soap, I guess, with the skewer, and just making everything go down and do some sort of swirl in the middle, probably also utilizing the ice cubes when he could. But look at it. Isn't it gorgeous? He does say within his documentation that he sent through the notes or whatever, that he's very happy with the way that it turned out. And I'm glad for that, because I think he should be happy with the way that it turned out. This is an absolutely gorgeous bar of soap. And like I was saying earlier, when you consider that these were a lot of elements within this are things that Rob hadn't done before, this is even more impressive to think about. Like yesterday, we were talking about Cheryl and how she's only been at this for a year. And when I went to her website to look at all this stuff, she does not have the mark of a soap maker that's only been at it for a year. And Rob, while he's been a hobbyist for a very long time, he really hasn't been making soap for 19 years. He's been studying soap. He's been looking at soap. He's been doing the things. And regardless of how long you've been doing it, if you've never made a batch of melt and pour on your own from scratch, come on, that's a hard thing to do. And he did it. He really stretched all of the things in order to really lean into all of the brief and all the requirements for this challenge. And he did so in amazing ways. Like, I'm honestly, when I see things like this and I hear about, and I look at this footage and stuff, it almost makes me sad for every other person that couldn't win because there can only be 3, and wondering if they had a disastrous experience too. Because Cheryl had one yesterday, Rob had one with this one, and it's just, it can be a beast. But I mean, I will say that you brought that on yourself. You know enough about coffee soaps because you've done them before, and you've done beer soaps. So you knew that that was going to be just a beast to mix both of them in one lye solution and not put enough water in to make sure that it didn't solidify. So it's your fault, but you did good with the actual, recovering from it and pivoting. And honestly, that is a mistake that I would make. So this is another reason why I think me and Rob were just cut from the same cloth. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And that's just all there is to it. So sorry, husband, Jimmy, you're going to have to share them with me once in a while. It's fine. I'm nice most of the time in small doses. But yeah, so this soap overall, 10 out of 10. I would have loved to experience, I want to experience the soap just regardless, but I would have loved to know what this ended up smelling like with the cardamom, and if he was going to plan on continuing to use the coffee cake fragrance oil along with that. I would have loved to know what that ended up smelling like together, because cardamom is amazing. Just that is the secret. The secret is always cardamom. And the OG Sudsers, who, I don't know. I've said it a couple times. It's a good reference. They know what I mean when I say cardamom, that the secret is cardamom. But anyway, it's would have been an incredible soap to actually smell and experience and whatnot. And so I hope that those fragrance oils they come in at some point, and he can give us an update in the Discord and let us know, what it smells like, and maybe hopefully mix it with a coffee soap so we can get that report too. That would be delightful. These soaps are absolutely stunning, and I am so proud of him for every little bit that he did with it all. And I have to shout out again for sure, because he did say at the end of that pour, and I keep forgetting to really do it, that he really wanted to shout out the coffee house again, Moonshot, I believe is what it's called. I've lost my page that was all on. Where's my notes? Was it Moonshot? Maybe Moonshot. I'm gonna go with Moonshot in Washington that makes the best cardamom coffee ever. I guess they make their own syrups and stuff, which sounds really cool. So if I'm ever in Whitehead, I don't know where that is, but I will go and check that out because that sounds amazing. And I will let them know that he made a soap inspired by them. And he did also say, don't let this be the disaster of the poor be at all representative of what the actual coffee tastes like, because it's amazing. And onto this lather test, by the way, just been gabbing. His tattoos are amazing and that lather is epic. And yeah, I ran out of time. Rob, you're amazing. Thank you for all of this. By the end of his footage, I felt like I had been on this journey with him. I mean, it was a multi-day pour, multiple different batches of soap. You got the cold process, the melt and pour, more cold process. Hearing his husband walk in and say pudding was delightful. I mean, the whole thing was just great. I would have put the clip of his husband saying pudding in because he did it a couple times, but I don't know him like that. So I didn't. I just used a little bit of Rob's voice at the beginning, and I think he'll be fine with it. Sudsers, you know the drill. Go show Rob all of the love. In the comments here, he's mostly doing this as a hobbyist soaper right now, even though he's been doing it for 19 years. This brings him joy. He really enjoys all of this. I have loved having him in the Discord. I've loved having him as a member of the Sudser community. He has been delightful and he's blended so well with all of the different awesome Sudsers that we currently have. So thank you, Rob, for taking a chance on an overly wordy, me, and finding out that the Sudsers are way cooler than me and joining us over on the Discord. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the Sudsers. Thank you so much for being here, for existing, for being awesome humans that do all of the love and support of your fellow Sudsers, your fellow humans, when they are, promoted and, propped up within all of this. It makes me very happy. That is the point of Project Soapway, really. I mean, we all get better soapy skills as a result, but I just like to, say how cool the Sudsers are. So that really works for me too. But anyway, I'm out of here. We have one more Project Soapway winner. Definitely like, subscribe, comment, notify, hit the bell for when I drop that one, because you're not going to want to miss it. I promise. And I will see you guys all again tomorrow for another round of coffee-infused soapy fun. Bye.